Welcome to Season 2 of Outstanding Women Leaders, Witty and Wise Conversations. I'm your host, Katie L. Leeds, leadership and life coach by day, comedian and writer by night. I'm on a mission to have 100 million witty and wise conversations around the world. No more welcome to my TED Talks and Dear Abby advice friends. It's time to start having powerful conversations without being attached to an outcome or agenda for the person you were just creating space for in that moment in time. The rules for this conversation are simple and derived from part of the Coactive Institute coaching program. Nobody gets to be wrong, and nobody gets to be right. Everybody gets to be vulnerable. This is a safe space. This conversation is exactly what it needs to be in this moment in time. We've asked our guests to join us via video to allow us to create authentic connection. Eyes are the window to the soul. You will be seen here. You will be heard. There is space for you here. I'm so excited to get started dancing in this conversation with Sufia Hussain. Did I get it? Hussain, I tried. I did my best. Sufia Hussain. Sufia Hussain is an outstanding woman leader and founder of Silly Chili Hot Sauce. Born in Bangladesh, raised in Queens, Sufia is your typical New Yorker, and I absolutely love that about her. Queens, New York, immigrant, like Sufia is exactly who you think of if you are not in New York and you wonder what it's like there. After 6 years working in fashion, pursuing her dream of climbing the corporate ladder in corporate America, Sufia left to pursue her passion for advocating for sustainable agriculture. It's a new passion that Sufia has been supporting farmers through her company at sillychilihotsauce.com. Fast forward 3 years later, and she is now an accomplished entrepreneur pursuing her own definition of the American dream. Welcome, Sufia. So excited to have you.
Thanks for having me, Katie.
Yeah, I have to add that I met you and you have been volunteering every time I've met you. And so I love that is when you say that you're pursuing a dream of advocating for sustainable farmers, I know that to be true because everything I know about you has always been giving back.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that's how we met. And then, here we are. Our friendship, it started from there and we kept in touch. And look at us here now.
Yeah, and I have to say, the last 3 years, I have just been in awe of your hustle. That is just, your hustle is beyond, and it is super inspiring. And you are very much, for anyone listening that is like, man, do I really want to hustle hard? You show us that it works. And that's what I love about you.
Thank you.
But before we talk about Silly Chili, I'd love to just talk a little bit about your background and how you sort of, once you pursued that dream of corporate America, kind of what happened in that shift for you. And what skill sets transfer. I think people always wonder, when I leave, what skills will I have to start my own business?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, starting my own business has never been like a dream of mine. It was more of like, okay, I wanted to be in law, become an FBI agent because I love solving problems, and that didn't happen. That I fell into fashion. Then I was like, oh, I'm actually enjoying this. And I hustled so much. Like I started doing internship at age 17. So in my junior year of college, at FIT, I landed a professional full-time job with Liz Claiborne. At that time, it was a $5 billion company, and I did not tell anyone how old I was. I was dressing up very I wanted to look, older because it was like a professional, office job.
It matters. And I have to say, it's funny, we're the same age. Actually, I think you're younger than me. You've always come off as someone that is so wise beyond, like, I've always felt like you dress like I'm in it. I look like a child with my pink glasses.
And I feel like I also started working when I was 13 years old. So, but I always wanted to be active.
What was
And,
your first job at 13?
so my first job was, I wanted to find a job and earn money. And at that time, no one's gonna hire me because I was so young. But one day I wore my like a nice t-shirt, and I was like, I walked outside around my area, and I went to a supermarket, and I was like, oh, are you guys hiring? And they goes like, no. How old are you? I was like, 15, but I was 13. And the manager goes like, come tomorrow morning. If you want to pack the groceries, it's tips only. So I went back. The next day was Saturday at 7 a.m., stood outside of the supermarket, and he goes like, okay, when they opened up the shop, and I just started working just on tips.
You've been
But
hustling your whole life. I love
yeah.
it.
I was like, if I'm not earning money, what am I doing with my time? Yeah, but
every 13-year-old thinks, right? And when they're playing video games and eating.
Yeah, I never had that life. Like, like being lazy on the weekends. No. I guess when I look back, it's kind of crazy that things I did on my own, like no one pushed me. You know what I mean? And then I was like, in college, I had internship, 2 jobs, and full-time school, managing all of that, managing family. So yeah. I feel like, those things really train me to manage like 7 jobs right now.
Absolutely. I mean, you said you wanted to be in the FBI because you like solving things. You're solving
Yeah.
problems all day
Yeah.
long. And that hustle from such a young age, I think it comes so naturally to you, and it's so obvious. That's what I loved about it. Like, and I don't know if that's a New Yorker thing or if that is
No,
a thing.
no, I know a lot of New Yorkers, it's also, you have to be within you, right? Like, I didn't have to work. I did not have to work, but I chose to do it because I have this fire inside me, because it's like I have to I'm a hyperactive person, so I have to constantly do something. No one ever can get bored around me. It's like I will entertain you so much. It's like, I guess I constantly found something to keep myself grounded, and working, being busy is one of my way to, everyone is different. Hey, everyone is different. So it's just my way of being busy and, keep going, learning. And I'm a very curious person. So I'm always trying to learn something. So it grounds me. It sounds crazy that work actually grounds me.
Yeah, it's funny because we chase this idea of work-life balance so much. I hear that all the time. I need a better balance between work. And for me, I feel like work is just always going to be who I am and like what I'm doing. And so I want my values and everything I do to be reflected in my work. So
Yes.
that's energizing, right?
Yes.
And the only part of my work that is ever right now in my life that's ever feels draining is just after I've had all these amazing coaching sessions and I've had all these amazing uplifting, my energy feels a little, like I feel up here with energy really high filled, but my brain and my body are tired. And like, that's a good day's work, right? When you feel grounded, you feel amazing, you feel accomplished, and then my body's ready to rest.
Yes. Yes.
And you're big on meditation, and so you're not just the person that works and does.
No.
And I found this time around, being a business owner, and being my own boss, is I take walks. And
yes.
I had started to do that when I had my gym to the bigger facility, and like things were running and we were making money and it was easy, and well, nothing's ever easy, but like I had more time, and I found really investing that time for me this time around.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel guilty, like, ooh, I should be working, or I don't feel those shifts anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about your meditation. You said 2 hours a day?
Yeah. So I I'm a holistic person. Overall spiritual, and for the last 5 years, I've been seeking spirituality and seeking a lifestyle that has meaning, and a mindful lifestyle. So I take my decisions, my it doesn't personal, business, name it, family, everything is a very holistic approach I have. Very mindful, and I'm I'm on that path. It's not that, oh, I have reached enlightenment, but I'm seeking that path. So um during COVID, we've been locked down, and it's been such a blessing for taking care of myself. All the time I was spending getting ready, getting prepared for an event, for a meeting, then it's like 5-6 hours a day to get ready, to pack, to be somewhere from one place to another, and traffic, subway, whatnot. So it's like I have all that portion of time, and I'm like been working on myself, like internal and external way. Like I meditate 2 hours a day. It's on my calendar, an hour in the morning right after I wake up, an hour at night before I go to sleep. And in the middle, I try to do breathing exercise for 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the middle of the day. That has been really good. Been like taking care of myself a lot. Like I just did juicing challenge, 5 days juicing challenge, and and really like listening to podcasts that are like very like you think better, you listen to them, you're like, oh, like we all know everything, I feel like this day and age, but we don't really remember those every day. Like, should I be, it's like questioning, like, oh, okay, I feel like doing this, and I'm like, oh, so like aggravated, like this person said this to me, like why, then reminder of certain words and wisdom is like, you know what, like let me just take a step back and like,
I like that you said words and wisdom, because I am on a mission to be witty and wise in the conversations. And that's why I think conversations can be so powerful, and podcasts, workshops, like women,
Mhm.
we are always seeking that calm in our lives. Like men too, we have a lot going on.
Yes.
And so I'm getting my certification in neuro coaching, and
Oh, wow.
it's just interesting, the brain, and that what happens to the brain when we meditate, what happens to the brain wherein we actually honor our emotions. And so when you talk about listening to those podcasts, like what I hear is sort of honoring that emotional part of the brain where you may be reacting some way or feeling some way and not really processing. I think our frontal cortex, like we really like to kind of push emotions out because we don't have time for them. We're
We
hustling.
don't have time to like the process and be still and let it go and let it be.
Yeah.
We are so reactive. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, you threw a stone at me. Next thing, I'm not even thinking I'm gonna throw a stone at you. But you can reverse that.
Yeah. Yeah. And by taking in that moment, if we would stop and take a deep breath and focus on your breath for 90 seconds, allowing whatever you're feeling to wash over you, you can quiet that amygdala. You can start to actually think through. Podcasts are great for that. I think I have some girlfriends that are listening to podcasts for relationships.
Yes.
And it's funny because I wasn't a podcast listener before I started.
Me either.
And but because I'm old school, and so I will watch a TED talk, and I will pull out a name you've never heard of that I watched on a TED talk. I'll share something that they shared, and that's really what the podcasts were. But through podcasts, it became more conversations when you had people, and that's what I was so drawn to. Is wow, these two people are having a powerful conversation right now, and everyone that's listening to it is experiencing that same powerful conversation, that they will then take away and maybe share something that they heard. And that ripple effect to me was,
Yes.
we're not having conversations anymore that are witty and wise. Particularly during COVID, we're having TED Talks. Welcome to my TED Talk. This is how you should think. And or for people that are dating, we are still very much stuck in the advice, like, well, I found a man, so here's what you should do, instead of a conversation about, well, what do you want? Like, what are your values? Like, let me honor you in that moment. And you being a New Yorker, like, Queens is so diverse. You've got to be able to have some witty and wise conversations to be able to navigate.
Totally. Like, I feel like conversation is a lot more about sharing in the individual journey versus my journey is not going to be same as yours. So it's like that conversation podcast, the reason I started enjoying it so much, it's like so much about that personal journey that people share, that like my path, my mistakes could be someone else's success. My success might not be the same. Someone else, if they follow the same path, it's not gonna be the same, you know? So it's just personal journey, everyone's, and I love it so much. Yeah,
let's talk about your personal journey. What I love is that you never wanted to be an entrepreneur, and it took you a while to own that you are an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when you said that, my immediate reaction to myself was, wow, maybe I'm not really an entrepreneur either. I'm just a girl with a dream. You really, I mean, you are a hustler. Like, you've been in it. What to you is like your definition of I get to say I'm an entrepreneur?
Well, the thing is, like, even when I started Silly Chili, started selling, I'm not a trained entrepreneur. Like, I didn't go to business school to learn, X, Y, and Z. This is how you open up a business. This is how you do. I did not know that, right? So I pretty much learned on the job, right? So I wasn't focused. I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I'll tell you that. It wasn't my dream because it just wasn't, right? And it takes a lot of guts to do that entrepreneurship. You not only you need capital, you need that emotional strength to ride that burden every single day on you. I mean, one good thing, I didn't know all of that. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have gone through this labor.
100% correct. I mean, I think of the same thing. My dream was never to be an entrepreneur either. My dream was to be a principal and to work my way up in the school system. But you're right. Capital and emotional strength, I think, are the two things you need to be that entrepreneur and start that business.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, so it started, and I felt like I followed my gut feeling. And then again, going back to that, I'm very spiritual. I follow my gut feeling all the time. And now I'm better at, since I've been seeking clarity, clarity of life, my thoughts, paying attention to a lot of my thoughts, vibration and everything. So I'm like, now I know, like, what I should follow just based on my feelings and based on how, like, my gut, I've always followed my gut feeling.
That is such a gift. And as a coach, that is the goal, is to connect your heart, your values, your desires, your purpose with your brain, so that you can operate from this 330,000 level feet, right? So in an airplane, when you're going through the storm, you can't see things, but as soon as you get out of that, when you get to 30,000 feet, you can see all the clouds. And that's that instinct that you talk about, where there could be this huge storm and directions would maybe want to blow you this way, but you're up here just seeing things very clearly and operating from this thought, but also from this gut, this heart,
Yes.
and reading those situations. And that is amazing. I mean, that is where people, to be optimally tapping into your full brain potential, that's where you want to be. And
Yeah,
we
I
should
mean,
talk with that.
yeah, I've been an empath. I know this has nothing to do with
No, it absolutely.
I've been an
Everything.
empath. Yeah, I've been an empath my whole life, and I always thought it's a curse because I always feel other people's feelings so much. That's why you see me volunteering constantly, and there's so many other things that I do. People doesn't even know, like try to get people a little bit of help here and there, however way I can. It's just like feeling other people feels, and then I also feel what's going to be good for me, healthy, toxic, and I can pick up people's energy. So, but now I'm seeking like help, professional help to understand that and kind of protect myself.
Yeah, we should talk offline. I would love to do a coaching session with you to tap in a little bit.
Yeah,
A lot of
protect
the,
myself. Yeah.
yeah, so that's that 30,000 level area of seeing things. And so that when you're receiving the energy, that you're seeing it up here, and you're versus being in the storm with their energy. Ooh,
Yeah.
ah, I
Yeah.
I think that. So when we think about the brain, like the prefrontal cortex, the critical thinking is super important, and that's the part that we tend to value in corporate America, or as an entrepreneur. But that emotional brain, it's half your brain. The emotional part is, and it's so powerful, and we know it's powerful because we can remember traumatic events like they happened yesterday, right? We can feel what we felt, we can picture where we were, and that is an imprint that's incredibly powerful. And so to be able to tap into the emotions and to be in control of them is a way that you can reach higher potential and really tap into going further in life with your brain,
Yes.
right? Because you're, I always say there's only so many Einsteins. Like you can do a lot to build up your critical thinking, and you've been doing that as working your whole life. Like you're just a natural hustler now because you've done it for so long. But the emotional side that gets left out in corporate America, if you could tap into that with what you've already got, imagine what you can do. I mean, and for me, that's the power of the Witty and Wise conversations, is helping people tap into being in control of their emotions and being able to use them effectively to guide them to what they value. And when you come to that crossroads where you feel that gut feeling and you aren't sure, you have a measuring stick of, well, where am I not in alignment with my values, or where am I not in alignment with my thinking, and how do we get those together? And that's where coaching can also be really powerful, is that we're up here at 30,000 feet already as a coach. I don't have an agenda for you. Whatever journey you take is your journey, but what I can offer for you is what I hear, what I see, what I feel that you're saying. And that gives you an opportunity to sort of take ownership and reframe your thinking around emotions. But emotions are so powerful, and we're so afraid of them. And I have been avoiding them through humor.
Yeah.
And because humor is a painkiller, and so making things that are uncomfortable funny makes them a little bit more palatable. And that's why dark comedies still work.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more about your business in COVID, and when you talk about the thinking, and how are you shifting your energies and your thoughts because of the world changing?
Yeah. So yeah, before COVID, well, COVID changed the way of my way of doing business, particularly my business, like upside down, right? Like, because I'm in food, so we have to do the market. I mean, the shops we are in, we constantly have to do demos to push product. Then there is e-commerce, and there are trade shows, then a lot of events, markets. So all those things all of a sudden just got canceled one after another. And I have um, one of the biggest client, a B2B client, WeWork. It's a co-working
Yeah.
space in New York, all the New York locations. They also kind of like, uh, closed down their buildings, and all the product that I made, produced, and I had it in the warehouse. So it was like I was like, okay, like what's happening? Is this even real? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like in New York, people didn't realize till very later on, because even the day of lockdown, even the day before, we were out. Like we
Yeah.
don't
My
have
dad and
time
his boyfriend were out in the Upper West Side. I'm like, you're in your 80s or 70s, and my dad's in his 60s. What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. We New Yorkers, we did not really, I mean, we knew, but we weren't gonna stop. Like,
No, I think you
no.
guys, like, we ride the subway every day. Like, it's
Yeah.
frustrating,
We
we're
weren't
tired.
gonna stop anything, like till the government really forced us and told us they will fine us if we do anything. So yeah, it was a thing. But to be honest, it's gonna sound crazy. My gut feeling was telling me something's big is gonna happen for my career, and everything's gonna be fine. And my mom thinks I live in a different world because I wasn't freaking out, right? Like,
Yeah, you're
because
operating from that higher level.
yeah, because she was like, I don't watch the news. I don't even have cable in my apartment. So she was like calling me every day, giving me all the stats, like blah blah blah, all these things. But my voice always has been okay. Yeah, we should, like, see how we can help our neighbors, our people with what we have. But I never really freaked out. I'm like, oh my god, like, so. And then, I was minding my own business. I was trying to help out my neighbors, older neighbors who cannot go out, see if they need anything. I was just got busy with all these things. But I had in my heart that, I'll be fine with my business. Like, something was telling me, you know what? I'll be really fine. I did not know what it was, but know
Yeah.
that at all, like 75% of our orders stopped. Like, it was
Wow.
just every cancellation every other day, right? And then middle of COVID, boom, like I landed a huge account, Misfits Market. um
Yes.
so
Congratulations.
thank you very much. And they wiped out like 95% of my inventory. And then I started like lending other smaller accounts. But that part, I was like, oh my god, like, like, I kind of knew it was coming. And I swear to you, like, I have few friends that I talk to, like, about stuff. Beginning of it, I was telling them that, hey, Arnold, I feel like I'm gonna be fine. I have this feeling that something greater is coming, And I told my other best friend, Nina, like, one of my neighbor I was hanging out with, um it was just from my feeling. It was like, okay, I feel like I'll be fine.
Ah,
I
you
feel like
manifested this. Imagine people that are telling the universe that they're not going to be fine. I love, like, that's the secret that, right?
yeah.
That literally is the
And then,
secret.
yeah. And I was doing gratitude journal during every single day. I was writing down my spoon, my hot water, cold water, food in the fridge, the fan, like, name it. I wrote down, I'm so thankful for this, all of it. So yeah, a business shifted a lot, the way we were doing things. Like, it changed upside down for me. Like, we cannot do store demos anymore. It's gonna take a while. Then the travels, like, last year I was traveling half of the year, but it all stopped. So now but it turned out to be good, you know, like my eyes opened now, you know, like it pivoted, like the way we will be doing going forward, you will be different than how I have been managing. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
amazing. So I love talking to all the people during COVID that have had a positive experience. Because I mean, because it's hard. I just so many people have had losses. So many people have struggled
Oh,
during
yeah.
COVID. I lost my job. I'm still waiting on unemployment to show up. I was also though in that same space as you. I still am, where everything is fine. I'm not currently operating from a place of fear. I know that things will be abundant for me.
Yeah.
I I know that I'm able to make an impact and I'm helping people, and that is my purpose. So I feel really grounded in that. I love the gratitude journaling that you talk about. You know, season 1 of the podcast, Kristen is a huge fan of gratitude journaling. I have written many blogs on gratitude. I try to make sure that I also am speaking out. Like, I'm grateful for my 10 clients. I'm grateful for my next 10 clients. And,
Yes,
I'm grateful
I'm ready for it. Yeah.
because I am. And I know that there are so many people out there who only can be grateful for their fan because that's all they have, right? Like, there's just so many people that are struggling, and it's, to know that you had 90% of your orders wiped out and to still be focusing on gonna be great, things are gonna be great, to have all those cancellations, and to
Mm-hmm.
still stay so grounded to know the universe has your back. For my
Yes.
God is, if he's for us, who can be against us? Things are neither good nor bad. They just are. Like, COVID just is. From a historical perspective, it would have been nice if we had people that said, hey, look, we did this before, America. Remember that last pandemic? It's going to last a couple years.
Well,
Uh,
yes,
that's
but
the hard part.
yeah, but we can also think of it this way. If this happened 10 years ago, things would have been much, much
Oh,
worse
yeah.
because there wouldn't be any e-commerce like what we are doing. It wasn't that much available or popular. So right now, at least people, there's like a home delivery system, there's an app, there's e-commerce, there's like tools and technology, and people are connecting still. So I feel like, we should like be blessed in a way, like this has happened now
Yeah.
and not before, because it would have been, oh my God, I don't know.
I
Yeah.
agree. There are so many. And I also, anytime I look at my own life and things are falling away that I wished had not, my marriage crumbling, losing businesses, I think about COVID and like what the world is telling us that it needs, and all the healing that happened during COVID for the planet because we weren't out there has been incredible. And the shift of parents having to connect with their kids, I know for some parents it's been really hard, but it's just interesting to see the world and what will stay for COVID. Like, what do you think? What are 3 business trends that you see in New York that are going to stick around long after COVID is gone?
Well, people, have a positive way of thinking right now. Like they're really focusing on the necessity items. Like even myself, like, am I gonna buy? I have 8 pairs of sneakers over a few years, but am I gonna buy a pair anytime soon? No, I will not. But I've been investing a lot in my health, like, more careful about what I'm eating, my own health, because it matters. It opened up our eyes, right? It's not that COVID I'm scared of. It's more of like, I need to build a strong immune system so I can fight it, that has been my slogan to all my friends, family, whoever I speak with. Focus on building your immune system strong, not like, don't be scared, but just focus on that. And then so you can, if you get it, you fight it. Whatever you get, you fight it.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing, So yeah, and then the way people shop in terms of like the online shopping, e-commerce, it really increased a lot. So I think people gonna stick with that. They will continue to order online. So in terms of like groceries, anything, there people just gonna continue to order online. That will stick, and that will just grow worldwide.
Yeah.
Even yeah.
I mean, I agree. I think having my groceries show up to my door is amazing. And I'm like, why didn't I don't have a car. Why didn't I do this
Yeah.
before?
Yeah.
And so I love what I'm hearing from you, because I think I see that as well, like the death of materialism. It's not, I don't think materialism will ever go away, but I do see that intentional spending, you don't see
Yes.
it right now. Like, did anybody buy a new summer wardrobe? I guess the people that are going to the beaches and getting COVID did, but I I do see the being just more like mindful of even what,
Yes.
because you couldn't spend your money on stuff like I do see at least the stores, right, that are going away. And
Yeah.
it's interesting to hear you talk about shifting that money then to health and wellness. What we spend our money on shows us what we value. And in America, we will very much value a handbag over a health professional for our
Yes.
mental health.
Yeah.
Right? We'll value those sneakers over
Yes.
sneaking time to meditate and putting it in our schedules. Like, oh, I don't have time to meditate. But,
Yes.
and self-care becomes like indulging in things and not
Uh-huh.
really spending money on areas that actually take care of yourself.
Yeah.
The brain has four parts, and one of those parts is the user brain. The user brain needs sleep, it needs rest, it needs proper nutrition. The brain actually spends 20% of the body's energy, and it's only 3 pounds. And that's an
Wow.
incredible amount of energy that's taken up. And so if we understood more about what happens to the brain when we are sleep deprived, when we don't give it the meditation, the oxygen that it needs, when we don't give it um, the fuel that it needs, the water that it needs, like we would
Yeah.
all suddenly shift our money to that, because here
Yeah.
we're trying to fight our way up the corporate ladder and make all this money. There's a way to be smarter, and it
Yes.
actually isn't involving working harder. It's really involving understanding your brain. I am hopeful for this trend. I think people can live a much more peaceful life and really grounded and operate from a higher level when they invest money to get there.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that for myself in life coaching 6 years ago, I got divorced, and I invested in the therapy and investing in coaching again. There's times in your life where it's just when you're transforming, and literally whether it's a career and you're getting a new career, or COVID's shifted your thinking, whatever it is, where you need someone that can help you see what you can't see because you've been living, right? Your brain doesn't
Yes.
like change. Your brain
Yeah.
actually is wired to resist change.
Yes.
And it's difficult for us. But the shopping and e-commerce is interesting. I absolutely think that you're right. Like, all three of these things are here
Yeah.
to stay, and that's gonna have a lasting impact on our.
Yeah. Even when it comes to workout, like
Yeah.
people are taking online classes. So we will see a lot of the, I would say, like, I think a lot of the yoga studio will get wiped out. They're like, if they can teach 50 students through video, they don't need you know what I mean, studio with high rent. So I feel like we'll see that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think cities, I see that. I would prefer to go to a class in real life because
Yeah.
human connection.
Yeah.
You're a New Yorker, like, right now, and you're hustling on your commute. It's easier to make your class from Zoom than it is to make it
Yeah.
there, right? So I could see where, I think I will be shifting, at least for the next couple of years, to at home, and I don't know that will change for me.
Yeah.
It's interesting, the fitness, and once you can start focusing on fitness in your home, I think that's a natural progression
Yes.
into, well, where else
Yeah.
can I invest in my health and wellness at home too?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, it's like the whole world. It's crazy. Like every day, I kind of think about every single business little bit, like
Yeah.
how it's gonna shift and there's something else going to take place. It's good or bad. And then in the meantime, I think a lot of things are changing, and it will just gonna at least 60% will people be like, you know what, I'm saving X, Y, and Z amount of time and money, and I'm getting actually a lot more for this. So I'm just gonna stick to this. But that habit, a lot of people will like still get that habit going. Be like, oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. How have you seen this impact your business and how you are going to start are scaling up or even just scaling down? I know that both are important for businesses to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now I'm focusing on thinking my next step instead of going crazy with like doing a lot of production. We are also having a little bit of hiccup finding raw materials because the farmer we were using, Rutgers University Agriculture Farm, I partner with them to grow peppers, and the university campus was closed, so they didn't grow. So it's like a little bit, but in the meantime, I'm like really revisiting my next step. So I'm actually in January moving to Bangladesh for like 5-6 months at least. And I want to build a food manufacturing facility there. So I'm, leading up to that. Kind of like, it's like it's very, very big project, but that's like, what I'm doing is like, I'm like a little bit not pausing. E-commerce is going on, but I'm not really, since like most of my like inventory is out the door, so I'm not going crazy to like, you know what I mean? I'm not
Yeah.
stressing, but I'm more of like planning my next big move, getting kind of like each day getting ready to like for that.
Yeah.
So
And is
yeah.
this a plan that emerged as a result of COVID shifting your business?
Um, so demand for packaged goods has gone up a lot for food packaged goods. So and I something I always wanted to do in my head that I can actually say it, like like now as I'm like understanding myself, my mind, my intention for my own life is like create jobs, and cost of doing things here versus cost of doing things in Asia, it's like huge difference, and I'm a bootstrap founder. So I thought of during COVID, like, how do I see myself in next 5 to 8 years, right? Like, what do I want to do? Like, how do I want to achieve? Like the whole plan was, okay, I'm going to build a company after a certain point, make enough, and then become a full-time philanthropist, right? But during COVID, it was like, you know what, like, maybe, when you create an industry, then I can merge all my wishes, things that I want to do, achieve with my life, creating jobs, then really boosting agriculture farm, working with them, providing healthy food, consumer packaged goods for the people. And it's going to be like a win-win situation,
Yeah.
So,
I
so
love
it,
the way your brain thinks. I need you to sit down and do a coaching session with me on my business and how I can
yeah, for
help.
sure. Yeah, I'm very good at that. Like, yeah, I
Yeah.
ask the right question, make people think. Yeah,
Yeah.
bounce ideas. It's like a lab. So I kind of like jot down like, okay, things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about agriculture. I'm passionate about like, you know, innovating product that won't harm the universe, you know, that harm the earth. Like, I don't want to be part of the problem. Like,
Yes.
I want, yeah. So it's a lot I can do. So it's like, okay, but here is the thing, the reason I'm moving there, because it's like people are out of jobs, not enough jobs there. So it's gonna be good for me, like for like, you know, for that investment, right? Like to build something for, and then see what happens. So yeah, that's, and I felt, you know, again, I sat on that. It was like, oh my God, aha, you know, like I have that aha moment, like,
Yeah.
wow. And then it feels like so good. Then I sat on that for like days. And then every time I thought about it, I felt content, like I felt good, you know? And then I started like interviewing local people there, and at towards the end I would like say my plan, right? So my future plan, and they were like super excited. It's like, we need people like that to initiate, you know, um, to set up an example how a manufacturing facility should be run, because they don't do it well there, you know, the factory owners. There's a lot of human rights issues going on, labor issues going on. So, you know, I'm very strict on that, and no, a lot of things. So I feel like, you know, it comes from that leadership level. Like if you're
Yeah.
strict, it trickles down to the management. If you have zero abuse policy, tolerance policies, like trickles down to people, right? It's all about that leadership, how that person wants to run their, operate their, you know, their project. So it's important to, you know, and, you know, my activism kicks in. So
Yeah.
it's like all of that. So I can like combine everything that I have been doing little bit here, a little bit there, you know, and then combine it, and then yeah, pursue it. So
That is amazing. I am just so inspired every time I talk to you, and to hear how your plan and all the things that you've loved. You're up here at that 30,000 level thinking, and how amazing that when you have this wise conversations that trickle down to your employees, the impact that you can have on just how you treat people,
mm-hmm.
trickling down to how other people treat people.
Yes,
That's
yes.
what I think I've always been drawn to you, is you make space and time for people.
Oh, thank you.
You
You know, it's very important to connect with your people, because something I say to even my mom, you know, or even my friends, it's like, you know, none of us will go to the graveyard with our money, our sneakers, our jewelry, bags, nothing. So you know, either you live, and even if you make an impact with your two neighbors, then you did that, you know, like you did that. So that's how I think it should be. Like, you know, everyone is running because I was that person. Oh, you know, I gotta have this designer bag, I gotta have this, and then going out for drinks, this restaurant, like, you know, that lifestyle. And then it just so, oh my God, like, I don't do that anymore. I'm not that person. But it just so, like, to me, it's like fake, like, yeah.
It's a lot. I think, you know, it's just not your core, right? That's not who you are. And I always enjoy playing a good role. So I always love the opportunity to go into New York and, you know, take my handbag out. Because that's what you do when you go out.
Yeah.
And some of us are still on the subway with that Chanel, but damn it, we're making it to that fancy restaurant.
Yeah.
I love that. I love hearing you talk also about how you've scaled down and not been afraid to scale down. I think sometimes when we want to grow a business, it's scary to think about not pushing the gas on something that you've been pushing the gas on for so long. So
Mm-hmm.
it's great that you took that opportunity after you wiped out a big chunk of your inventory to
Mm-hmm.
say, I'm going to let this one kind of run and I'm going to shift my efforts over here so I can scale
Yes.
up, right? And
Yeah.
that's hard as business owners. It's hard to let go sometimes of what got you to where you are, right? To like not push the gas on your e-commerce business, to say, I'm going to shift my efforts. Sometimes that can be really hard for business owners. And right now I know a lot of business owners are in transition, and they really need to think about, is where do I want to push go on the gas, and like where do I want to let up? What talk me through your thought process for that, and how you evaluate what to say yes to and what to say no.
Um, so since I started, just my personality, I'm not an instant gratification person. Like, if every customer that I have worked for it. Like, it was never like, oh, I met you, now here's my product, now you give me an order. Never, 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 never. I have very strong relationship with my clients, and I actually put a lot of effort into it, right? And even people like people that, I'm not getting any benefit, or they're not getting benefit, but we keep in touch all the time, for different types of
Same, yeah.
information. You'll be surprised, like, how table can turn, right, with relationship. Like, one guy, he was my advisor to my startup. Now I'm his advisor to his startup. Like, and you never know, is that relationship. You make impression, like, you do favor. I do a lot of favors for people without having any agenda back of my head. I just don't. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, I did it because I could, and then, but it comes back all the time in 100 or 1,000 times more through different people. Sorry, what was the question again?
No, I love that, of the give. It's like what what you're giving out there is a valuable product and service, or just a value add for people without expecting to receive back. I think is so important when you're evaluating what things you're doing, right? Are you building those relationships? I feel that way about every coaching session that I give away. I'm not attached to you signing up that day. I am somewhat attached to you having success in that moment, because I want you to move forward. But what I hear constantly from you is a lack of attachment sometimes to like the outcome,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's huge when you're thinking about, but the question was on scaling and how to evaluate whether or not to scale up or scale down, to press go or not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that is a very, very important question, because just like you said, it's so hard, because every day you're thinking, oh my God, like, I need to go out there, get accounts, and I'm gonna pay my bills, I have to generate enough, like, all those things. However, for me at this very, very moment, this is not an advice for anyone. This is just what I'm experiencing, why I made this decision. So I need space in my head and my notebook in everywhere to build in the next 4 months, is like build my network in Bangladesh, and educate myself, do market research, hire local people to get my project together before I land there, right? Before I land there, and then that's like another phase. So I'm on phase 1 right now. So I need that place, I need that space, I need that serenity to allow myself to be in that and work on that, because I'm talking about $150 million business that I'm gonna go and build in 5 to 8 years, right? So
Yeah.
I
I love
I
what you said about you're not into instant gratification. That was what I was trying to pull out earlier when you asked me what the question was, right? So
yeah.
I hear you saying for your evaluation then is you looked at your passions, you combined them all into one thing that also was going to allow you to be a philanthropist because it was going to make you a lot of money. And then I hear you say that you said, all right, well, this isn't about instant gratification and your e-commerce, right? You're making money every day. That's instant gratification.
Hmm.
And I think that it is important for business owners to recognize if you're going to go and do something like build a $150 million business, you got to go all in. And you said you needed space in your head. Like space in your head is huge. 20% of your body's energy is going to be taken up by your brain. Like, where do you want that energy to go? And so you're focusing on a $150 million business, even though it's not here yet, versus the instant gratification of landing another misfits that will bring you in money, but won't
Hmm.
get you all of your passions and dreams in one place. Do you feel fearful of that? You seem
Um,
real calm.
yeah, strange. Um, I don't. I feel pretty good about it. Some people have to make sacrifice for a bigger picture, and I, let it be me, So far, I feel good. I mean, I'm not, because right now it's a bigger vision, right? Like a vision. Then I have 4 months to like I have that plan. Then I'm gonna go into phase two when I land and start doing certain things, location, finance, like so many other things.
Yeah, so phase two is January 2021.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. We have to have you back on in January well, maybe February, March. We'll give you some time to
Yeah.
share, how phase one went and what the lessons that you've learned. If you could leave our audience today with like the biggest takeaway, if they're thinking about leaving their industry, what's phase one for them?
Phase one would be finding out what they want to do, what direction they want to take. Um, I always say, don't follow that trend, don't, because someone else's path might not be your path, and just like, find out what is that I say tickle your pickle, you know, what is that you want to do that you feel business owners, right? I'm talking about business owners. But if someone wants to get a job, also finding out like what are the skills they want to earn, they want to polish, stuff like that. And if it's for business owners, it's like, they already been through an entrepreneur path already, so they know the basic things. And the next thing is like finding out what is that they want to do, and then does it make sense, do market research, and does it make sense, how much passionate I feel about it, and and then take it from there.
Yeah. Market research is something that, like, that's a term I never really heard of before I had a business. My market research for my first business was, is there a CrossFit gym? No? Great. Good market. I looked at the size. I looked at the size
Sure,
and the average
sure,
salary
sure,
rate to pick my prices.
sure.
I looked at a city that was similar to pick my prices, which I guess is market research. But um,
Yeah,
in that,
part of it.
so
Yeah.
people listening that have never been a business owner, you probably are doing market research and not realizing that you're doing market research.
Yeah.
I love, so phase one that you just described is the phase where you get a coach to help you. So just making a shameless plug here, but whether it's Owl Professional Coaching or another coach that you
Mm-hmm.
pursue, I think it's really important to pursue a coach to help. I think it can get you there faster. That process
Yeah.
of trying to figure out phase one and do I do the thing and do I don't, particularly if you're still operating not at 30,000 feet, right? If you're still operating from the well, I'm afraid that I might not make money. Like if you have any doubts in your head about even doing it, like you're not operating up here. So that's where a coach can be really powerful for people. I
Yeah.
love that in phase one, you said, don't follow the trend. It's funny, when I launched this business, so many of my friends reached out, well-meaning friends, great friends. I love them for if they're finally listening to me, that said, you should follow this person on Instagram. It's kind of like what you're doing, or you should look at this person, or have you read this? It sounds like you. And my brain immediately wants to resist it because I don't want to do what other people are doing. And if you're telling me that I'm doing something similar and I don't know who they are, well, that probably makes sense because we're all in the same space of wanting to coach and help. And what I'm saying is not like made up by Katie. So it makes sense that we're saying similar things, but I want my own brand, like you talk about. Like no one else is Silly Chili hot sauce. There's a lot of hot sauces out there, but Silly Chili is very unique and it has that own flavor. And I think if you're working towards like, well, this is my idol, I want to be like this, I don't know that you're ready. And that, like, that's not phase one. Phase one isn't let's find who we like and try to replicate. Phase one is
I hate that.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
I swear I hate that mentality so very much. I'm sorry if someone is listening to it, if they think like that, but I hate that mentality. Come up with your own if you want to do it. If not, my thing is don't replicate. Be inspired, but don't replicate other people's stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely. And that is where phase one becomes, I think, the coach I always go back to. For me, like, I have been working with my coach on my inner leader. Like, who am I? Who do I want to be? And I think that is very much represented in my website and where I'm at, and this witty and wise conversation, if you've ever met me. And I'm hosting a workshop on wit and wisdom. We haven't talked a lot about witty stuff, but I think about you and your hustle and how you should do a workshop on how to become a natural hustler. And so Malcolm Gladwell's book, The Outliers, he talks about 10,000 hours is what it takes to become that genius at something, right? 10,000 hours is what the Beatles had to become the Beatles. 10,000 hours is what Bill Gates had before he launched his company. And so at 13, you were hustling. Like, I imagine over your lifetime at this point, you have probably picked up 10,000 hours.
Oh my God.
Hustling, right? And so what happens in the brain when you do that is it becomes part of your DNS. Like, it's your default nervous system. It's the same way you get in a car and you drive somewhere and you're like, shit, I don't remember getting here, because you have done it so many times. And the wit for me is what I want to help people with, not because everyone should go out and be a comedian, but if you look at it, we know what humor does to the brain, super important. But we also know, well, if you look at comedians and their brains versus someone who's a novice comedian, they're writing jokes when given prompts of political cartoons. They were writing jokes that they're tapping into here, like they're doing like a bottom up. They're accessing feeling. They're accessing situations. They're able to read things just like you are when you hustle, because you've been doing it so long. It's your instinct. And new comedians, they're accessing their prefrontal cortex. They're pulling on things that have happened in the past and trying to make them occur. And so it becomes more natural. And so when you practice hustling or you practice being funny, and as an only child, I've tried to be funny all the time so that I can make people laugh and want to be my friend. And as an adult, I practiced going into a bar. I don't call it practice, but I'll go into a bar and I'll talk to people and I'll use the same one-liners across different demographics of people. They're often men. But I know it works and what doesn't work, right? And that's how you are with hustle. And so the last Wednesday of every month, I host a witty and wise in relationships conversation. And there's part practicing on how to exercise your witty muscle, you should do that for hustling. People to access that hustle muscle. Like, what is it that, so if you were to tell someone, do this every day for 5 minutes, start your morning out to practice, you're training your brain to be a hustler, what would you have them do?
Wow, no one ever asked me that question before. What the hustling part, it's from ambition, right? When you're ambitious, you go out there and you hustle to get that.
But it's uncomfortable, right? Like walking up at 13 and saying, hi, can I have a job? And they're like, sure, you can work for tips. Like, how does someone practice so that they're building a pattern in their mind where that's not crazy? Because every 13-year-old is not doing that.
No. Wow. I do think it's like kind of natural instinct that, okay, I'm gonna do this. But in order to train someone, oh my God, because I work with a lot of youth, cousins, nephews, niece, and I see that, they're nowhere near, oh, I want to work for this. It's like, give me, it's like, give it to me. And parents are like that. Okay. They give them. So few things. I think dreaming, right? Dreaming is a huge thing. Like dreaming and thinking about future, that, okay, I see myself this way. And that is like one thing, right? Like that's like part of one. Okay, you know what? I see myself having this or doing this or having this something. And then that's like part one. Okay, what do I need to get that? I gotta, work and get some money. And I always loved money. So as a child, so that's, I don't see that in youth because they don't have that, like, but I just always loved earning money and earning. When I say not free handout, but I loved earning it, I'm going to offer you X, Y, and Z, and then I'll earn it. So
I wonder then if there's a way. I love that you talked about imagining doing something, right? Because your brain doesn't actually know the difference between physically doing something and thinking about doing it. The same patterns will light up. So if you think about swimming laps, your body is not going to have the cardio benefit, guys, but you will develop in your brain. It will have felt like it has done that, and you can gain hours that way. So that's interesting to think about. Where my mind went was, how can I be a hustler like Sufia? And I think of a true New Yorker hustling. Like, I would go out with my little table and I would have a sign that says witty and wise coaching, $10.
Yeah.
And have a chair and just sit there. Like, that's a hustle, right? The people that are playing their musical instruments, telling jokes, those things are hustling.
It is. And also not having, like, because I am never ashamed of doing anything, right? Like, I have 3 degrees, but I have no shame. I never had a shame, oh, I'm going to go to this market, set up my table, or be on the street selling my stuff.
That's never, what it is.
Ever, right? Never, ever had that.
Yeah. So this is how you heard it here, guys. So you can train to hustle like Sufia. Imagine doing it every day for 5 minutes. I also wonder if it would be a good connection if you, like, every time you hustled, you gave yourself money. Like, if you had a jar and you're like, all right, I'm going to hustle at something for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. Maybe I'm going to make a phone call and try to sell my business to someone.
Yeah.
And then you put $1 in a jar. And because you're not going to, like you said before, the hustle is about the relationship. It's about the connection.
So many things are involved.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time to join.
Oh, you're welcome. I learned so much from you.
And likewise. And this is why I think these conversations of witty and wise are so important. For my audience, if you're still with me, you can learn more about having your own witty and wise conversation with me at owlprofessionalcoaching.com. And you can learn more about Sufia's business, sillychilihotsauce.com, and where you can purchase her hot sauce, where you can find it in local stores, or if you're ordering from Misfits, you can also order her Silly Chili hot sauce as well. I also offer free complimentary coaching sessions. So if you're interested, you head over to my website. All new clients are free for their first session. It's all it takes to transform your thinking, align your heart with your brain, and create the relationships that you desire. You can also follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Owl Professional Coaching for witty and wise words from yours truly, and on Twitter at _OwlWoman, where we release all of our podcast episodes on Sunday evenings, as well as on my website at Outstanding Women Leaders, on Facebook and Instagram. So before we go today, I always like to ask our guests 2 questions. Sophia's back with us. She dropped off real quick while I was giving my spiel. It was boring anyway, so you didn't need to hear it. If you're still with us, though, and hopefully you've made it to the end, of the listeners, because this is the best part, is I'm going to ask Sufia 2 questions. Sufia, my first question is, what is your superpower?
My superpower would be I'm very stubborn. When I want to do something, like I somehow I get it done, or at least yeah.
Absolutely. I love that you've taken what some people would consider a hindrance, like being stubborn.
Oh no.
You've turned it into a superpower of getting things done. I love that. My last question for you is, what's next?
Next would be, I told you about my food factory project. That would be next. And also next is also developing and launching other different types of food product under Silly Chili brand. So Silly Chili hot sauce is, the first baby, trial and error, a lot of learning, understanding how business works. And then I will be launching other product under Silly Chili brand. Yeah. So that'll be exciting.
I love that. And because your superpower is when you want something, you get it done, we all know that you will be having many products under the Silly brand. I can't wait to try them. Thank you again for joining us. Thank you, listeners, for sticking around. If you liked what you heard today, write us a review. We're on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, also on YouTube. If you follow us, you'll know right away when a new episode drops. Sometimes I even accidentally drop them a little earlier than I said I would. So follow us. I promise it's worth it. Bye, Sufia.
Bye, Katie. Thank you so much.